If you're driving or operating machinery right now, please keep your eyes open.
Yeah, definitely keep them open.
Right. But for everyone else, just for a moment, close your eyes. I want you to imagine you're standing on a high ridge overlooking a massive megacity at night. Maybe it's Tokyo or New York or, Shanghai.
Somewhere where the humanity is really dense.
Exactly. You see that endless ocean of lights. The skyscrapers glowing like circuit boards, the headlights streaming down the highways like blood cells in a vein. You can almost feel the invisible hum of it all. The data centers processing millions of transactions a second, the heating systems fighting the cold, the sheer electric pulse of civilization. Standing there, it feels immense, doesn't it? It feels like we as a species have conquered the night.
It's a really powerful image. It feels like we've arrived, but this is where I have to come in and be the killjoy physicist.
Please go ahead. Ruin the moment for us.
Well, if you zoom out, like way out past the atmosphere, past the moon, out to the edge of the solar system, that glow you're imagining is barely a flicker. To the universe, our grand conquest of the night is a rounding error. It's statistically insignificant.
And that is exactly what we are unpacking today. We're taking a deep dive into the Kardashev Scale. Now, I know that sounds like a trope from a sci-fi novel or a video game level, but it's actually a serious, ruthless scientific framework.
Very ruthless, yeah.
It's used to measure the advancement of a civilization. And the scary part is, it doesn't care about our art, our philosophy, our politics. It cares about one thing.
Energy. Specifically watts. The universe basically asks a simple question. How much physics can you bend to your will? And the answer depends entirely on how much raw energy you can generate and consume.
And we've got a stack of fascinating sources today to help us answer that, including a really dense, fascinating study by Jiang and Das from 2025 that puts some hard dates on when we might actually level up. The mission for this deep dive is simple but heavy. We need to figure out exactly where humanity sits on this scale right now. Spoiler alert, it is very humbling. And what it would actually take to build a star-spanning civilization.
Because the numbers we're discussing today, they break the human imagination. We're talking about engineering projects that make the pyramids or the International Space Station look like children's Legos.
So let's get comfortable with the sheer magnitude of this.
Yeah.
Let's look at the framework itself. This was proposed by Nikolai Kardashev back in the 60s, right?
Right. He was a Soviet astronomer looking for extraterrestrial life, and he realized we were kind of looking for the wrong things. We shouldn't just look for radio signals because radio is cheap. We should look for heat. We should look for energy signatures.
Makes sense.
So he created these game levels to categorize what we might find out there. Type 1, type 2, type 3, and so on, all the way up to galactic scales.
Right. Consistency with explaining type 1, 2, 3, and so on. But for this deep dive, we're really just focusing on the leap from where we are up to type 2. So let's start with that first goalpost, type 1.
Okay, so type 1 is a planetary civilization. The definition is very specific and honestly staggering. A type 1 civilization harnesses all the energy available on its home planet.
When you say all, you don't mean they just covered the deserts in solar panels and call it a day.
No, I mean all. Every distinct ray of sunlight that hits the surface, every joule of wind energy, every bit of geothermal heat bubbling up from the core, the tidal energy from the oceans. You are effectively capturing the entire energy budget of your world.
Okay, so give us the number. What does that actually look like on the meter?
The key metric is a power output of roughly 10 to the 16th watts. That's 10 petawatts.
Numbers like 10 to the 16th tend to just wash over people. It sounds abstract. How does that compare to what we're doing right now?
Think of it this way. A type 1 civilization uses about 500 to 1,000 times more energy than all of humanity is currently generating.
Wow.
Imagine if every single machine, every light bulb, every factory, every car on Earth suddenly multiplied its power consumption by 1,000, and the planet could actually sustain it.
That's hard to picture. What does a civilization even do with that much power?
It changes the nature of the civilization. At type 1, you aren't just living on the planet, you're managing it. You likely control the global climate to optimize agriculture.
Like a thermostat for the Earth.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You control the weather to prevent disasters. You can tap into volcanoes for power. You are the absolute master of your rocks.
So that's level 1, mastery of the rock. But then there's type 2. And this is where the sources get really wild.
Type 2 is the stellar civilization. This is where the exponential nature of the scale kicks in. Suppose you're a type 1 civilization. You've mastered the Earth. But you keep growing. You need more juice. You've exhausted the planet. So where do you go?
You go to the source, the sun.
Right. A Type 2 civilization harnesses the total output of its host star.
Now clarify this for me. You don't just mean the sunlight that hits Earth.
No, that's the mistake people make. The Earth is a tiny dot 93 million miles away. We only catch a tiny, tiny fraction of the sun's light.
It's about 1 part in 2 billion, right?
Yeah, exactly. The rest just streams out into deep space, wasted. A Type 2 civilization captures all of it, in all directions.
And the wattage on that?
Roughly 10 to the 26th watts.
So we go from 16 zeros to 26 zeros.
Correct. And because the scale is logarithmic, that isn't just double the power, it is a jump of 10 billion times the energy of a Type 1 civilization.
10 billion times. I'm trying to find an analogy for that because my brain is just breaking.
Try this. If a Type 1 civilization, which is already 1,000 times more advanced than us, is a single human being shouting as loud as they can, a Type 2 civilization is the sound of a nuclear explosion going off every single second.
Jeez.
The gulf between these levels isn't a step, it's an abyss.
It really reframes how we look at progress, doesn't it? I mean, we get excited about a new smartphone battery that lasts 20% longer. We think we're advanced because our cars have touchscreens. But on this scale, we're talking about engineering realities that are effectively godlike.
Exactly. A Type 2 civilization could terraform Mars on a lunch break. They could likely move planets into different orbits to keep them in the habitable zone as the star ages. They are operating on a scale of physics that we currently only theorize about in abstract papers.
Which brings us to the uncomfortable reality check. If Type 1 is harnessing the whole planet and Type 2 is harnessing the sun, where are we?
Well, according to the sources and the Carl Sagan formula, which allows for decimals to track our creeping progress, humanity is currently rated at Kardashev 0.73.
0.73. We haven't even made it to level 1 yet.
We are still in the tutorial mode. We're effectively a Type 0 civilization, a subplanetary culture. The sources show our global primary energy use is floating around 10 to the 13th watts. That's about 20 terawatts globally.
And that 20 terawatts is the engine of everything we know. The internet, global shipping, aviation, air conditioning, the recording of this deep dive, it feels massive to us.
It is massive to us. It defines our lives. But compared to the 10 to the 16th needed for Type 1, we're a candle flickering next to a stadium floodlight.
And here's where the deep dive gets a bit critical, looking at the sources. It's not just about the total amount of energy, right? It's about the quality of it. The sources point out a huge vulnerability in our 0.73 status, the infrastructure problem.
Right. We are generating that 20 terawatts, but how? The reports highlight that 80 to 86% of this energy is still coming from digging up dead plants and burning them, fossil fuels.
Which is incredibly inefficient when you think about it on a cosmic scale.
It's chemically primitive. We are liberating chemical energy stored millions of years ago. It's dense, which is why we use it, but it's dirty and finite. Renewables like wind, solar, and hydro, despite all the hype and the solar farms you see popping up, currently only make up about 10% of the total primary energy mix.
That stat always shocks me. You drive past a wind farm and think, we're doing it, the future's here. But 10%.
It's growing, but the baseline of fossil fuels is massive, and our delivery system, the grid, is archaic. The sources literally describe our grid as creaky. We have limited long-distance transmission. We lose power over distance due to resistance. We can't easily move power from a sunny desert in Australia to a cloudy city in London.
And we can't ignore the access gap. The sources mention that billions of people still lack full, reliable electricity. So we aren't even a fully connected Type 0.73 yet.
Precisely. We're operating at a fraction of our potential, and we're doing it by damaging the biosphere we live in. We're like a civilization finding loose change in the couch cushions and thinking we're rich. To get to Type 1, to get to that planetary status, we need a fundamental shift in physics and engineering.
So let's map out that road. We are at 0.73. We want to be a Type 1. When do we graduate? Because the sources have some specific dates, and they rely on some heavy modeling.
They do. The Zhang and Das study from 2025 is really interesting here. They used a model that factors in our energy consumption growth rate and our technological efficiency. Their optimistic model projects, we reach Type 1 by the year 2271 CE.
2271, so roughly 250 years from now.
Give or take.
That's approachable. That's about the same distance in time between us and the American Revolution. It's history, but it's recent history. It means our great-great-great-grandchildren might see it.
In historical terms, yes, it's a blink of an eye. But remember, that is the optimistic model. That assumes we solve fusion, we solve the grid, and we don't blow ourselves up. There is a more conservative analysis mentioned that takes into account climate constraints. Basically, the fact that we can't just burn more coal to get there or we'll cook the planet. That pushes the date back to roughly 2371 CE.
And the pessimistic outlook.
If we stagnate, if we hit resource walls, it could take millennia. Or, as the sources darkly hint, never.
We'll get to the never part when we talk about the Great Filter, but let's assume we're going for it. We want to hit that 2271 date. What do we actually need to build? Because simply adding more solar panels to roofs isn't going to get us to 10 to the 16th watts. We run out of roof space.
Right, roof solar is great for your house, but it's insufficient for a planetary civilization. To get that density power, the sources point to the holy grail of physics, nuclear fusion.
We've been hearing about fusion being 20 years away for the last 50 years. It's kind of the running joke of the energy sector.
It is, but the tone in these new reports is shifting. They discuss ITER, the International Thermonuclear Experimental Reactor in France. This isn't a theoretical paper, it's a machine, a massive one, costing anywhere between 20 and 65 billion euros, depending on how you count it.
And the goal of ITER isn't just to smash atoms, right? We can do that already.
We've been fusing atoms since the H-bomb. The trick is control. The goal is net positive, continuous fusion. We need to get more energy out of the plasma than we put in to heat it, and we need to keep that reaction stable for days, months, years.
It's basically building a miniature star in a magnetic bottle and trying to keep it from touching the sides.
That's a perfect description. And to achieve type 1, we don't just need one of them. We need thousands. We need fusion plants to become as common as gas stations.
And that costs money. The International Energy Agency, the IEA, estimates we need to triple our clean energy investment. They're talking about spending $4 trillion per year by 2030.
That number is staggering. $4 trillion a year is basically reorganizing the global economy around energy production. But generating the power is only half the battle. The sources mention a critical material bottleneck, superconductors.
Unpack that for me. Why are superconductors so important for a Type 1 civilization?
Okay, imagine you generate a massive amount of power in a fusion plant in the Sahara Desert. You want to send that power to a factory in Siberia. Right now, using copper or aluminum wires, you lose a significant percentage of that electricity as heat because of resistance. The wire fights the current.
It's like trying to carry water in a leaky bucket.
Exactly. Over global distances, the bucket is empty by the time you arrive. Superconductors conduct electricity with zero resistance, no loss.
Wow.
If we can create room temperature superconductors, materials that work without expensive liquid nitrogen cooling, we can build a global grid. You could generate power anywhere and use it anywhere instantly.
So the Type 1 vision is a fusion-powered Earth, wired with superconductors managing the entire planet's energy flow. Let's say we do it. We celebrate in 2271. We are the masters of the Earth. But then we look up.
The sun.
How do we make the leap to Type 2? This is the part that feels like pure science fiction.
This is where we leave the cradle. To reach Type 2, you have to capture the star. The concept here is the Dyson swarm.
Now, I've heard of a Dyson sphere, like a big solid shell around the sun, but the sources are specific. They say swarm. Why the distinction?
A solid shell is physically impossible. The gravitational stress would shatter it, and there's no material in the universe strong enough to hold a rigid shape the size of a solar system. A swarm is different. Imagine fleets of independent solar collectors, mirrors, habitats, power stations, millions or billions of them, orbiting the sun in dense, shifting layers.
Like a cloud of bees around a hive.
A very dense cloud. They capture the sunlight before it escapes into deep space and beam that energy to wherever the civilization needs it.
The timeline for this is, well, distant. The sources project 3200 to 3500 CE in the optimistic scenarios.
And honestly, that is incredibly fast if you look at the engineering involved. The sources call this an engineering nightmare, and they aren't exaggerating. Let's talk about mass. To build a structure that can intercept that much sunlight, you need raw material, a lot of it. The estimate is about 10 to the 25th to 10 to the 26th kilograms of stuff.
I don't even know how to visualize that much stuff.
It is roughly the mass of the planet Jupiter.
Wait, so we need to build something that weighs as much as the largest planet in our solar system?
Yes. And here is the kicker. We cannot build this from Earth materials. If we mined every mountain on Earth, scraped the crust down to the mantle, and destroyed our home, we wouldn't have a fraction of 1% of what we need.
So where do we get the material?
We have to dismantle other planets.
Dismantle them? Like literally take them apart?
Effectively, yes. The leading theory is that we would send fleets of automated mining drones, von Neumann probes that can replicate themselves, to Mercury. Mercury is perfect, it's rich in metals, and it's close to the sun. We would mine the entire planet, grind it up, launch the material into orbit, and turn Mercury into solar collectors.
We would eat Mercury to wrap the sun.
That is the scale of Type 2. It sounds horrifying to us, but to a Type 2 civilization, leaving a planet just sitting there unused is a waste of resources.
It's majestic and terrifying. But let's say we build the swarm. How do we get the power? We can't run an extension cord from the sun to Earth.
Yeah. No. The report discusses power beaming. We would have to transmit that energy using concentrated microwaves or massive lasers. But imagine the precision required. You are beaming 10 to the 26th watts.
If you miss.
If your aim is off by a fraction of a degree, or if the beam widens too much, you don't just cause a blackout. You could accidentally fry a planet, you could sterilize a moon, you could boil an ocean. The control systems required are beyond anything we currently possess.
It's the ultimate don't cross the stream scenario.
It implies a level of stability and precision that we haven't even begun to invent.
Now, this all sounds like a glorious destiny. Stars, unlimited power, dismantling planets. But the sources also discuss the great filter. The idea that there is a reason the universe looks so quiet. There are traps along the way.
The path from 0.73 to Type 1 is actually the most dangerous period in a civilization's history. This is where the Fermi paradox comes in. Where is everybody? Maybe they didn't make it past 0.7. We are powerful enough to destroy ourselves, but not robust enough to survive the mistake.
The first trap is one we know well. Climate change.
It's the bottleneck. Our current reliance on fossil fuels, that 86% we talked about, is a trap. If we burn enough carbon to get the energy we need for growth, we destroy the biosphere that supports the civilization. The report says we need net zero by 2050 just to keep the game going. If environmental collapse happens, we don't just stall, we slide back down the scale. Civilization collapses.
There's another risk mentioned that I hadn't thought about, which applies even if we solve climate change. The heat problem.
This is simple thermodynamics, laws of physics. Even if you have clean fusion energy or a Dyson swarm beaming power down, doing work with energy creates waste heat. Your laptop gets hot when it processes data. Now imagine the whole planet processing 10 to the 16th watts.
That heat has to go somewhere.
It goes into the atmosphere. If you aren't careful, you could literally boil the planet just from the waste heat of your appliances, industries, and servers. A civilization this advanced needs to manage the thermal budget of the entire globe. They need to create planetary cooling systems, or they cook themselves in their own progress.
And then there is the human element, the social and political risk.
This might be the hardest part. Building a global grid or a Dyson swarm requires planetary coordination. You can't have nations warring over resources when you are trying to manage the sun's output. It requires a unified species.
And looking at the news, we struggle to agree on standardizing charging cables, let alone space treaties.
That is the social great filter. Can we evolve our politics as fast as our technology? We currently have 21st century weapons and technology, but we still have Stone Age tribal emotions. That mismatch is a recipe for game over.
So we are standing on a knife's edge. 0.73 is a precarious place to be.
It is. We are smart enough to build the gun, but we aren't sure if we're smart enough not to pull the trigger.
Let's wrap this up and look at the big picture. We've gone from our current 20 terawatts, looking ahead at the 2300s for Type 1 and the 3000s for Type 2. It feels far away, but the sources are clear. The R&D roadmap starts now.
It does. We can't just wait for 2271. The fusion reactors, the advanced grids, the space infrastructure, the seeds of those technologies have to be planted today. Supporting fusion research, updating the grid, investing in space exploration, this isn't just for fun, it's the down payment on our survival.
It reminds me of the cathedral builders, laying foundations for something you won't see finished, but knowing it must be built for the future to exist.
That's exactly the mindset we need.
I want to leave you with a thought that struck me while reading through this section on Type 2. We often watch movies about aliens, and they just seem like us, but with better gadgets. Faster ships, cooler lasers, shiny suits.
But the Kardashev Scale suggests something different.
Exactly. If this scale is real, a Type 2 civilization isn't just technologically superior. They are manipulating matter and energy on a scale that is indistinguishable from magic or divinity. They are dismantling planets and wearing stars like jewelry. They aren't just people in space. They are something else entirely.
It redefines the relationship. It's not peer-to-peer, it's anti-human.
It does. So when you look at those city lights tonight, ask yourself, are we the early stumbling ancestors of gods? Or are we just the failed experiment that never made it past point 7?
That is the question.
Thanks for diving deep with us. We'll see you next time.